If you only have one kind of illustration work in your portfolio, you'll only attract one kind of client, and that's if you're lucky. We all know a few super popular and very experienced illustrators who can work in a really focused area of illustration and still stay busy, which seems like a pretty sweet deal, but they probably didn't start out being able to do that. It takes a long time before an artist has that kind of control over who they work with and what they work on. If you're still trying to find your feet as an illustrator, you want to give yourself as many chances to succeed as possible. It's great to have a long-term goal of working in one specific area, but the way you ultimately get there is probably not going to be a simple straight line. You might zigzag all over the place and experience lots of different parts of the industry before you ultimately focus on one specialist area. And you know what? You'll be a better illustrator if you do that. Being open to all kinds of projects at the start of your career is going to mean that you get your first clients faster, which means you can start making money as an illustrator faster. It also means that you're going to have the opportunity to learn a wider range of different skills. You might be thinking, I am open to any kind of project and I'm still not getting any work. Well, saying it and thinking it aren't enough. You have to show it in your work and in your portfolio. A branding design agency looking at the portfolio of an editorial illustrator probably won't see all that much that they could make use of, so they'll go somewhere else. Most of the prospects out there, the people that could hire you, are going to spend more time interacting with your work than they are with you directly. They'll see your social media and your portfolio first, and then choose whether or not they want to contact you. If your portfolio doesn't tell that client that you can do and are willing to work on lots of different kinds of projects, they'll never know it. So let's say your goal is to be a children's book illustrator. That's a perfectly good goal, but it's also an incredibly competitive area for illustrators. It's hard to get a foothold in that market as an illustrator, and it often leads to artists working on very low-paid projects with inexperienced independent authors just to get some real experience of working on a book. That children's book illustrator's portfolio probably includes a lot of narrative scenes, some different illustrated backgrounds and environments, and lots of different characters. All the things you'd expect for a children's book. That's not going to appeal to most other kinds of clients. I'm not necessarily suggesting that artist then goes and adds in a load of tech or medical illustrations or really slick branding style work, because it might seem a bit scattered and unfocused. But with a bit of tweaking and some fairly easy adjustments, that portfolio could have a much broader appeal. The first step is to zoom out a bit. Books are just one product in the broader children's category. Could this children's book illustrator's style also be applied to children's clothing, toys and games, food and drink packaging for children? There are apps designed for kids and museums for kids, stationery for kids. I don't know children, so my imagination is probably somewhat limited in this area, but by zooming out a bit, you can already see there are a lot of different possibilities. For each of these related areas, the illustrations will be used quite differently, but there will be a lot of similarities in the use of characters, colours and shapes. Without making too much of an extreme change, this illustrator could communicate to the right kinds of clients that they are capable of so much more. Not everybody wants to work in children's books, so let's try another area. Working in music is also popular. Lots of room for creative freedom and interesting high-profile projects like posters and album covers. We can zoom out here first into different musical genres. If you're making work that's suitable for EDM artists, could you try a hand at classical? I bet you could. And if you can design a poster for a metal band you like, you could also design a poster for a West End musical. And how different is an album cover from a book cover, really? There are differences, but not so many that you wouldn't know where to start. And think about the big music platforms now. They're big tech companies. Can you apply what you know about designing for music to music-related products? There's all kinds of audio equipment, software, and apps in that space that are advertised in a similar way to other things in the music industry. So I want to challenge you to zoom out. Write down as big a list of ideas as you can of how your style could be applied to different kinds of clients' needs. You can decide how much you want to diversify. Maybe you only want to work in the children's market, but maybe your interest in music can extend to technology and science, even YouTube and all that entails, photography, lighting, and all the associated software. There's no wrong answers in brainstorming, and if you need help zooming out, leave a post in the comments. There's a couple more things worth mentioning here. If you start out with one specific goal and work towards it, you might succeed, you might not. But if you work in all kinds of different areas, you might find something you like even more than your original goal, something that you'd never even thought of before. You don't know if you can be really good at something unless you try it. You might think your style is really perfect for one thing, UX design, for example. But if you experiment and apply that same style to lots of different things, you might discover that it's actually much better or more enjoyable or better paid when you apply it to animation. Test your style to see where it actually fits best, not where you think it fits best. And finally, if you state that your work is for one very specific market, that sets off a whole set of assumptions in a client's mind about who your competitors are, what level of skill you should have, and what price you should be. You will be put into a category in those clients' minds, and you lose a lot of freedom to charge what you're worth. If you can show that you have a lot of different skills and you can apply those skills to lots of different things, then you're harder to categorize, and you can set your own prices based on your actual skill level and not what clients maybe incorrectly assume your skills are worth. So, I hope this helps you to look at your portfolio from some new angles. I often talk about working on a range of different subjects, but even if you don't want to stray too far from your chosen path, there are always opportunities to add some variety. See you next time.